Welcome back to Talkie Tuesday. Today I want to talk about music and getting old. Okay, it's not necessarily about music. We're going to talk about music, but the point's not music. You know, I joke about being one of those old get off my lawn guys.
Get off my lawn.
And yeah, there's a certain pride in that. At the same time, I don't want to spend my more senior years being miserable. So I don't really want to have that kind of attitude. But even in things like music, if it was made after the 80s, I just don't even care for it. That's not entirely true. There's a couple songs here and there that pop up that I kind of like. Stuff that stands out. You know, I'm a Paramore fan. Probably shouldn't be a Paramore fan at my age. I'll never be a Justin Bieber fan. Although, as many of you know, I do have some Hanson in my playlist. More of an accident than anything else. But for the most part, you know, you get me into the 70s, greatest music ever made. 60s, yep, that just led up into the 70s. I think we're attracted to music that was around as we built memories, and that music brings up those memories. So 70s, sure, I was young, but you know, that's what I remember listening to the radio.
I think it's gonna be a long, long time. The touchdown makes me run and get to find.
Now, I've mentioned WMMS several times because of my Cleveland trip. It was a great radio station back in 79, 80 when I joined the Army. And you know, in my memory, it was always a classic rock station. But if you look back into the history of MMS, they broke a lot of acts out onto the national scene. You know, Springsteen and Jay Giles and Rush. You know, Rush being one of the more notable ones to me. A lot of artists really went big time, at least in part due to MMS playing them. And I was thinking about it as I was reminiscing. You know, they couldn't have been a classic rock station then. They were playing new stuff. They were giving all these artists a chance. And it dawned on me that I don't love the station because it was classic rock. I love the station because that's where I was at the time. You know, a couple of the people that have gone over to MMS have started ohwownow.com Cleveland, Oh Wow Cleveland. And it's an online radio station. And I thought, you know, if it has roots in MMS and it's out of Cleveland, I'm gonna give it a shot. So I'm listening to it and I really kind of like it. Now some of the songs, you know, I'll pass on. But I find that as I listen to it, kind of taking the attitude of, you know, what if I didn't have my favorites from the 70s and the 80s? What if I was just listening to this as music, like I used to do? What if I didn't have this huge library of music I could select from, and I was just listening to find out what I enjoyed? But I find that I like a lot of what they're playing because I'm listening with an open mind, and I'm trying really just to give it a chance, and it's paying off. You know, I was thinking about how we kind of get locked into this, well, the good old days were the best days, and the good old days were certainly fantastic. But you know, there's stuff happening now that is good as well. You know, people want to talk about the motorcycle community and how, well, there's no, you know, we've all heard it, there's no real bikers anymore and that kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, there's still people out there doing the same thing they were doing in the 60s and the 70s, the 50s, 40s. It's still out there. You know, there's a lot of other noise involved, but it's not that it's gone. I think we tend to want to be the last guardians, the last bastion of all that we hold sacred. And I think that gives us some importance. So what are the options? Well, you can either become, you kids get off my lawn people.
Get off my lawn.
And they don't make good music anymore, and they toss in the occasional bah humbug in there.
Ah! Humbug.
Or you can look for new stuff that tickles your fancy, and you can get on with your life and enjoy what's available. Why is it that no matter when you get in a lane, it becomes the slowest lane? I just don't understand. This lane was Hull until I got in it. Now the other two are faster. And the whole music thing got me thinking about other areas. And I don't really have any specific examples, but you know, that mentality of just, well, it's living in the past. And I think, unfortunately, when you live in the past, you run the risk of becoming a relic, a fossil. Now, I don't want to do that. Not to mention the fact that because you won't consider anything else, you miss out on the possibility of being introduced to some new, cool stuff. And I just want to keep an open mind, not only in music, but in everything. And I don't mean an open mind like, yeah, whatever happens, happens. And, you know, everything is good. Truth of the matter is everything's not good, but I want to be able to pick and choose and be open to options that may appeal to me. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been whole videos about studies that explain why modern music is generally garbage. And it has to do with, you know, music has become a marketing vehicle. Instead of a song just having a hook that grabs you, they've made it a science to look for hooks, to create hooks to grab you. It's become just like a commercial. They've simplified it. You know, instead of having an orchestra doing rather complex things in the background, you know, I think of Sgt. Pepper's. Now you've got a drum machine that is just insanely simplistic. Lyrically, I don't think a lot of songs have the same kind of message. So there is a difference in music overall, but there's still some really good music being put out there.
I'm a match, shake kerosene, you know she gon' burn down everything.
You know, there's still people who are just rock and rolling, going back to the basics, and it's a pretty good time. I enjoy it. It'll go on my playlist for sure. A lot of it I'll end up owning just because I like it. So in a couple years, I'll be able to look back and be like, they haven't made good music since 2018. Bah, humbug. You kids get off my lawn. You know, it just dawned on me that I have become that way. And I don't really want to be because I'm going to miss out on some stuff. I have to start looking around and applying it to other areas of my life that maybe, you know, the good times are all gone. TV shows. What about TV shows? I know a lot of you don't watch TV, but some of you do. Motorcycles. They don't build good motorcycles anymore. Well, we'll see. So what do you think? Is living in the past a big deal? Should we try and avoid it? Are you just okay with living back then? And you know, I'm never here to judge. Does that hold value? Does that seem to make sense to anybody but me? And maybe if it just makes sense to me, that's enough. Maybe that's something I got to deal with. Something to think about. I should start Wisdom Wednesdays. All topics just to give you something to think about. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. You have passed the first hurdle by being here. Anyways, let me know what you think. I am validly interested in knowing. I intentionally kept it a little shorter this time because I knew I ran long last time. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Thank you once again for joining me. I appreciate you being here. And I will see you next time. Bye.